Paper, guys, we only have 4 transactions that we are going to do. Okay, then transaction number 1, maybe before we go to transaction, they said analyze the following transaction according to column provided. Assume that the bank is favorable all the time and the business use markup of 70% on cost. Indicate the effect on the accounting equation, plus minus for decrease and 0 for no entry. Okay, now let's check. This is the table that they gave us, which I already drafted here. Then transaction number 1, they said that the owner Zalo took a good with a selling price of 5,100 for personal use. Okay, now the owner took a good. Okay, if the owner took a good and they give us a selling price, the first thing that we need to do before we proceed, we have to adjust this selling price, because we need to record it by a cost price, not by a selling price. Okay, 5,100, and they give us a markup of 70%. So if we are reversing to a cost price, what we need to do is to say 100 over 170. Okay, let me calculate this. 5,100 multiplied by 100 over 170, then it's gonna give us amount of 3,000. Okay, it's gonna give us amount of 3,000. This is our cost price. Okay, it's like 170 is because our markup is 70, and remember it's always 100 here. What you need to do is to add markup that you are given, then you will get the correct answer. Okay, which means that our amount will be 3,000 here. Now, what are we going to debit? What are we going to credit? Okay, we have drawings and trading stock. Drawings is equity, and this trading stock is an asset. Okay, now because the owner took an asset, which means that our asset has decreased, and you know that assets decrease on the debit side. Assets minus plus, sorry, it's a plus minus equity minus plus liability is minus plus. Okay, in other words, our trading stock, we are going to credit it because the owner took it and it's minus. Okay, a trading stock, which means that a drawings, obviously we are going to do what? To debit, because drawings reduce equity. Okay, then now we have to show that under assets we subtracted, under equity we also subtracted, and this side is unchanged. Okay, number 2, debtors control. They said that a check of 350 received from a debtor J Kaba in settlement of amount of 400 was dishonest by the bank due to insufficient fund. The entry on cash payment journal was correctly made. Cancel the discount. If you check, they even bold, they said cancel only discount. So discount in this case, guys, is different between 350 and 400. Okay, which means that it's 50 rand discount. So how do we cancel discount? Obviously, now we have to reverse backward a debtors control that we subtracted. We subtracted and the bank rejected the discount, which means that now we have to add back a debtors control. Debtors control. Okay, and we credit discount allowed. In other words, we are reversing, guys. We are doing a reversal. Okay, when we do a reversal, debtors control obviously is now going to increase back, and this expense is also going to increase back, and this side it will be unchanged. Okay, the next one, they say the supplier Madakeni store charge a business of 120 interest on overdue account. Okay, They charge us interest on overdue account, which means that now we are going to face a what? More interest and more liabilities. Okay, more interest. Where do we record expense? This side on the debit side is an expense. Interest on overdue. Okay, why this interest increased? Because liability has increased by creditors control our supplier. Liability will also go up by amount of 120. Liabilities go up and our owner's equity decrease because of what? Of expense that we are incurring. Okay, the next one, purchase merchandise on credit from Atlantic Trader for 10,700 subjected to a trade discount of 10%. We purchased by 10,700, but this is not the amount that we need to record because we need to adjust what? A discount. 10,700, we are going to pay only 90%. Okay, 90% of this amount is 9,608. 9,608. Okay, we purchase inventory. Our assets has increased. Trading stock. But this inventory that we purchase, guys, is going to increase liability because we haven't paid, which means that our liability, creditors control, is going up. We didn't pay, we purchase on credit. Control. Okay, it's going to be plus, and this side will be unchanged. So I hope you learned something, guys. Please make sure that you subscribe. You can see, guys, I'm very sweating because it's very hot where I'm recording. So guys, please let's subscribe, let this channel grow. We are working very hard each and every day so that you guys, you can learn more and more in accounting and prepare yourself for examination. Okay, so let's look at this question. It was question 6. They say it's concept, salaries, and wage and ethics. So we are going to calculate some salaries. Basically, this question, guys, is from a chapter of salaries and wages. Okay, so the first part that we have is a true or false, which we can't ignore in this case, so that we will have some understanding. Okay, we have 6.1.1 until to 6.1.1.5. Okay, 4 and 5. Okay, let's start with the first one. They said that the acronym SDL, it is standing for Skills Development Levy. You have to answer whether it's true or false. Yes, SDL, guys, is Skills Development Levy, which means that the answer will be true. Okay, then the following one, they said that SDL is paid by employer whose payroll exceed 300. No, it's false. It must exceed 500,000 per annum. So which means that 300 is false. It's false. Okay, 6.1.3. UIF is normally 1% of the net salary. Is the net salary? Yes, it's 1%, but it's not net salary. It's gross salary. So in other words, we have to calculate what 1% of gross salary, not net. Remember, net, we already deducted what? Our deductions. So answer is false because they said a net and it must be gross. Okay, net salary are also known as creditors for salaries. Yes, it's true. It's also called creditors for salary. Okay, the next one, pay as you earn, payee must be paid over to a treasurer. Is it true? No, it's paid to SARS, not to treasurer, which means that the answer is false. When a business collect pay as you earn from employees, they must pay it to SARS, not to treasurer. Okay, 6.2. You are provided with information extracted taken from the wages journal and salaries journal of the dealers for May 2018. They have employees that are paid weekly and monthly. Okay, 6.2, 10 marks. Calculate the missing amount of the wages and salaries journal for May 2018. Okay, let's answer this one first. Okay, or maybe we can just read the other part, then after that we're gonna just answer everything. Okay, they also said answer the following question. 6.3.1, provide double entry for pension contribution. We have to indicate debit side and credit side. And 3.2.1, the net salary calculated under 6.2.5 of the salaries journal will be posted to salaries account in the journal, and which account? We have to answer that. Okay, now let's prepare our 6.2, which says that calculate the missing amount in the wages and salaries journal for May 2018. Okay, it has been indicated by 6.2.1 and 6.2.2. We have 6.2.3, and we also have 6.2.4 and 6.2.5. 6.2.5. So in other question papers, guys, like the one I did on the previous video, we were required to calculate everything. So make sure that you also know how to calculate everything so that you will be able to answer this one as well. Okay, let's look at 6.2.1. Is total under information number A. They are looking for total. Okay, total for what? For deduction. Okay, deduction that we have in this case, we have pension fund, medical aid, UIF, and pay as you earn, which means that we must get total of those 4 items, which means that we have to add them together. Okay, we are going to add amount of 160 and 240 and 28 rand 74, as well as 809. Okay, and if you get you calculate this, guys, you are going to get amount of 1,237 and 74. That's the answer for 6.2.1. Okay, now let's move to the next one. The next one, they said that we have to calculate a net wage. A net wage, when we talk about net salary or a net wage, is gross minus what? Deductions. Deductions is the one that we calculate, which means that now let's take a gross wage. Gross wage is amount of 2,874. Then now we have to subtract what? Total deduction. Then we're gonna get net. Okay, our net is 1,237 and 74. Then we're gonna get our net of 1,636,26. Okay, then 6.2.3. Let's check is UIF. 6.2.3 is UIF. That's what they want us to calculate. So in this case, they didn't tell us anything, but we know that UIF is 1% of gross salary, like what we were explaining under thrall force. UIF is always 1% of gross salary, not net, a gross. Okay, now let's check. Let's go back to gross. A gross, it was amount of 2,874. Now we have to multiply by 1/100, which is 1%. Then it will give you amount of 28 rand and 74, just like that. Very simple. Okay, and the next one, 6.2.4. Let me check on the table. They are looking for pay as you earn. All right, but pay as you earn, guys, the percentage is not stable to everyone. It depends on how much are you earning. That's why it's called pay as you earn. So that's what is the meaning of pay as you earn. So now, because it's not given the percentage, but we have all the figures, which means that we can calculate it as a what? As a balancing figure. Okay, if you check, we have total deduction of 13,000. Apology, let me go. Yes, information number B. Okay, we have a total deduction of 13,261. Now we have to subtract the other deduction, then we're gonna calculate pay as a what? As a balancing figure. The other deduction is 1,480 minus 1,450 minus 2,111. Okay, and you're gonna get amount of 8,220. Just like that, very simple. Okay, now let's proceed to the next one. 6.2.5. We also have 6.2.6. Okay, 0.5, they are looking for net salary. And net salary, guys, we already calculate example of it under 6.2. Okay, which means that we're going to take a gross, which is 21,110, and we subtract our deductions, which is 13,261, which is going to give us 7,849. Okay, that's our net. Imagine, guys, you work for 21,000 and you get paid 7,800. That's too much. The deduction is too much. Okay, now let's proceed. The next one is 6.2.1 SDL. SDL, skill development levy, guys, is also 1% like UIF of gross. Okay, which means that we're just gonna take 21,110 multiplied by 1%, which is going to give you 211 and 10, just like that. So this is how you should calculate your journal, guys. Okay, moving to the next one. They say that we have to provide the double entry for pension contribution in the wage journal. Okay, this is question 6.3.1. Okay, a journal, guys, is just to indicate which one is debit and which one is credit. So double entry for pension fund contribution, guys, remember, a wage, you have to debit it because it's expense. It's either you debit wage or you can debit pension fund. It's still fine. Pension fund. Okay, and now you have to credit pension fund. Okay, these two pension fund, guys, is not the same. This one is liability because it's going to increase what? Increase liability. Is the same knowledge of what? Accounting equation. So this one is pension fund contribution. So this one you can just call it pension fund. That's how you should answer question 6.3.1. Okay, 6.3.2, the net salary calculated. A net salary, remember under through force, we said that a net salary is the same as what? Creditors salary. The net salary calculated under 6.2.5 of the salary journal will be posted to salaries account in the ledger, and which other account is also gonna recorded under creditors for salaries. Just like that. Okay, Then the last one, they said that the owner, Mr. Thomas Ndewe, decided that he will not pay the money over PSUN this month as he need cash. Okay, he will make a double payment next month, so he want to ignore a payment of PSUN to SARS this month because he want to pay it the other month as a double because now he want to use money. Okay, now they say, why are you against the decision he took? Provide a consequences or results for this action in one point. Obviously, guys, if you are avoiding to pay SARS, we call it unethical action. This is unethical action. Okay, this money does not belong to him, it belongs to SARS. So in other words, if they find that you are taking money of PSUN, they can give you what we call penalties, or you can even go to jail. You can even go to jail for taking SARS money. You can be arrested. It's a serious case in South Africa. So that's what is needed in this question. So this question 6, it was 20 marks. So it was a... Let's look at this question paper. They said it was question 4 and a creditors ledger. They said the following information was drawn from the accounting record of CAPITEC Traders for March 2019. Okay, and the required number 1, they said that explain in detail why the balance of creditors control account must be equal to the total creditors list at the end of the month. Okay, what I can give you example why these two must be the same, guys, is because, for example, let's say there is you and your friend this side. If maybe, for example, you are giving your friend 50 rand, what you are going to record on your side, you are going to say you give him 50 rand, and he's going to record that he received 50 rand. Now you see that this side and this side is the same. Maybe, for example, the other day he gave you 20 rand. You received 20 rand. He's going to record that he give you 20 rand. They must be the same because the transaction that we are doing, they are exactly the same. We paid 50 rand. Even that side must 50 rand must reflect. If that rand reflect, there is something wrong. We need to do accounting procedure, just like that. Okay, so that's the reason why this must be the same. Okay, the other reason that I can write down here is because the control account is summary of creditors ledger account, just like that. Okay, now for 4.2, prepare the account of Support Ltd, a creditor in the creditors ledger account of CAPITEC Traders for the month of March 2019. Okay, information. Okay, we have a date and transaction. They say on the 1st, a date is on the 1st, and they said the balance. Okay, they said that the balance, okay, this side we're gonna have a debit, and this side we're gonna have credit, and we're gonna have balance. We have to record balance and after each and every transaction that we are going to do. Okay, they said that the balance, it was 15,600 at the beginning of the month, and on 3, let's start with our transaction now. They said Support Ltd charge CAPITEC Traders interest on overdue account. Remember, a creditors ledger, we are talking about liability. Liability increase on the credit and decrease on the debit. In other words, if we owe more money, it's going to be credited. If we paid money or if we get a discount, we are going to debit. Or if we return anything that can make us not to owe our suppliers, we are going to to debit because it's going to reduce liability. Whatever that is going to cost an increase, if we buy on credit, we're going to credit because it's going to increase the liability that we have. Very simple. Now, because they charge us interest, obvious, our liability goes up. Okay, interest on overdue amount is 260, and if we add them together, it's going to give us amount of 15,860. All right. Then now, let's go to the next transaction on the 5. After each and every transaction, guys, record the balance. Why now is go to this side is because we add this one plus this one is give us this one. But if we write this side, we are going to subtract from the previous balance. Okay. Now let's proceed. Issued a check number 107 to Supporter Ltd. If we issued a check, simply means that we have paid. If we receive invoice, we took something on credit, it's going to increase liability. Simple. Okay. Now because we issued a check, which means that we paid and showed them a check that this is the amount that we pay, which means that check, it was check number 107. Okay, we paid amount of how much? Amount of 13,500. 13,500 is going to reduce liability because we pay. On the same day, we also receive a discount. Discount received. Amount is 500. Obviously, even discount is going to reduce what? A liability. Now we have to adjust. If you say this one minus this one, you are going to get an amount. Let's see. Amount of 2,360, and 2,360 minus this one is going to give us 1,860. Okay, then we proceed to the next one. Very simple stuff. Received an invoice number 483 from Supporter Ltd for goods amounting to 14,000 subjected to a trade discount of 15%. So in other words, we are going to receive 15% discount. Okay, so this is invoice is going to increase the liability. Now the question is how much we owe our supplier. Obviously, it's not amount of 14,800 because we have discount of 15%. Okay, let's write invoice number 483. Okay, how are we going to record this, or how are we going to calculate this? We are going to say 14,800 and we multiply by, instead of paying 100%, we are going to pay 85%. Why? 100 minus 15 is 85%. Then we will get a amount of 12,000. Is going to increase liability because invoice we take something on credit and we haven't yet paid. Okay, and if you add with this one, is going back now to 14,440. Our liability has increased. Now let's proceed to the next one. Forwarded the debit note. A debit note simply means that we return something. Okay, a debit note of 220 to Supporter for goods returned, and the amount is 1,560. Okay, on the 13th we have a debit note number 220 we return, which means that our liability is going to decrease. Okay, it's gonna be 1,500. Okay, so it's going to give us amount of 1,560. Okay, which means that after that we need to calculate the balance. Okay, so a debit note, obviously guys, is reducing what? A liability. We can't pay for something that we have returned. Okay, then it's gonna give us amount of 12,808. Okay, Then the last one, they say Supporter Ltd refused to allow a discount recorded on 5 March 2019 as discount was overdue. They said the discount that we gave on 5, which was 500, they said no, it was not allowed, which means that this 500, we need to reverse it back. Okay, which means that discount reversed on 25. Okay, so we reverse the 500, is going to increase liability because they said no. Then it's gonna give us the amount of 13,308. That's how you should prepare your creditors ledger account. I hope you learned something. The question paper that we have, they say the information provided below is extract from the book of Simona Traders and their financial year end on 28 February 2018. Okay. 5.1, calculate the current ratio for 2018. 5.2, calculate the acid test ratio for 2018, 4 marks. Okay. 5.3, we have to comment on whether the business is able to meet its short-term debt and quote the figures. So under ratios, guys, please make sure that you know the formula. Yes, we know that you guys, you're going to be provided with a formula sheet, but under a formula sheet that they're going to provide to you guys, they are not going to indicate whether this formula is for acid test ratio, this formula is for the current ratio, this formula is for operating expense on sales. They're not going to do that. They're just gonna mix up the formulas and you have to pick the correct one. So you have to know them first before you go to your examination. Okay, let's start with 5.1. Calculate the current ratio for 2018. Okay, the first item is to identify the formula. 5.1, formula of current ratio. Okay, this formula said current assets is to current liability. Remember, guys, the reason why we calculate this formula is because we want to see if the business will be able to pay its short-term liabilities. All right, now because we know that we have to check current assets and we have to check current liability as well this side, let's do so. Let's go to our balance sheet. We find this information on the balance sheet, not on income statement. Okay, under a balance sheet we have a fixed assets, fixed deposit, which are non-current. Here we are looking for current. Okay, current that we have is inventory, trade and other receivable, and cash equivalent. We have to add 3 of them. Okay, we're gonna add 35,200 plus 47,000 plus 13,000. Okay, and after that, current liability that we only have one, which is trade and other payable of 21,000. Guys, without knowing the format of a balance sheet, this is going to be difficult for you, because on a balance sheet, you know that under balance sheet, under current assets, you will find inventory, you will find trade and other receivable, you will find cash and cash equivalent. Under current liability, you find something like trade and other payables, current portion of a loan or short-term loan, or what, or you find a bank overdraft. So you have to add all of them if they are given. Okay, now let's calculate this side. Total is gonna give us 95,200. If we add all this, is 221,000. Okay, now let's calculate the answer. This side is always 1. Why? Because 21,000 divided by 21,000 is 1. Now 95,000 divided by 21,000 is gonna give us 2,9. So this is the answer. And just to do these simple things, it's 5 marks. 5 marks. You must show calculation because marks are allocated like this. So make sure that you show everything. Show everything. Okay. The next one, they said we need to calculate calculate the acid test ratio. 5.2 acid test ratio. And the formula said current assets minus inventory is to current liability. That's the formula. Current assets, we know that is 95,000 because we already calculate. We can't calculate again. Minus inventory, which is 35,200. Okay, current liability is 21,000. Then if you subtract these two, it's gonna give you 60,000. 60,000 is to 21,000, and you're gonna get 1 this side because 21,000 divided by 21,000 is 1. And okay, answer for this one is 4,5, and here is 2,9. Why do we calculate acid test ratio? It's because we want to see if the business will be able to pay short-term liability without depending on the inventory. That's why we subtract it, because we don't want to depend on what? On inventory. Inventory, we are saying, is acid because inventory can expire. That's why we're saying it's acid in this ratio, and we subtract it. Okay, now let's proceed. The next one, comment on whether the business is able to meet its short-term debt and quote the figure. Guys, the first thing, if you want to see if the business will be able to pay, this one must be higher than this one. Assets must be higher than liability. If asset is below 1, they can't be able to pay because they have more liabilities than the assets. Okay, now let's check. Yes, the business will be able to pay 5.3. Yes. Now let's quote the figure. When they said quote the figure, you need to compare with the previous year. If you check the current ratio improve from last year. If you check below, they give us 2017 results. It has improved from 2,9:1 to 4,5, which means that the business in terms of assets is doing very, very well. Okay, they will be able to pay. And we also have to check what acid test. Acid test ratio, let's check if there's an improvement. Yes, it has improved from, it was 1,2 last year, is to 1, to 2,9 is to 1 this year. There is a significant improvement. Yes, the business will be able to pay. And 5 marks just to comment. Yes, 1 mark, and 2 marks, 2 marks here. Very simple, 3 marks. Okay, the next one. Calculate the percentage of operating on sales. This is a formula which falls under profitability. Profitability, guys, formula, they are very simple. Once they said what on what, just take that thing that they are talking about and divide by the one that they say on. For example, here they said operating on sales. You take operating, you divide by sales, and you multiply by 100. Very simple. 5.4. Operating, divide by sales, multiply by 100. That's how you do it. Okay, let's take our operating expense. Operating expense that we have this side is 146.26, and sales is 760,000, and we multiply by 100, and we have to get the percentage. All right, The percentage is 19.2%. Okay. And if you check last year, it was 27.2, because they said we need to comment on the control of expense. If expense decrease, it's good to business, because as a business, we don't want to spend. We want more money than to spend. So last year we spent 27.2%. It has improved. Reason is because it decreased from 27.2% to 19.2%. It has decreased. So this is very, very, very good. Okay. 5.5. Use the figures provided to calculate the return on average owner's equity for 2018. Average owner's equity formula, you need to say 5.5 net profit divided by average equity. Okay, maybe before we go to this last one, guys, I just want to appreciate you if you have been watching up to so far. Please, guys, make sure that you subscribe. When you subscribe, you are able to open more videos for yourself so that you can see more videos. But if you are not subscribed and you just come here and watch and you leave, some of the video you are not going to be able to see it. And to subscribe is free. To subscribe simply means that you want to follow what the channel. Okay, and also those who want to join our extra class, they are still available. A study guide for grade 10, a soft copy is available, only 100 rand. Just text us on WhatsApp, communicate with your parents so that they can help you to get one soft copy for yourself. Okay, and also, guys, we are on 1 million view celebration, so we want you guys to send a short clip. You can do it at your home, at your school, with your friend, wearing your uniform or wearing anything. Just make a short video of 10 seconds or below. Just say congratulations Accounting Solution SA for reaching 1 million views. So I'm going to upload it on the video that I'm going to do, but please make sure that you send as early as possible before 15 August 2024. Don't send after 15 of August, guys. Send before 2015 of August so that you can be part of celebration, and we're gonna see yourself on our TikTok as well as on the YouTube channel. All right, now let's do the last one. Net profit is very simple because it is given as 61,900, and now we have to divide by average equity. When we said average, you take one for last year and for this year and you divide them by 2. Okay, last year at the beginning we have 390,000, which we have to add with 420,000, 1 over 2. Simply means that we have to add these 2 and we divide by 2. Okay, then it's gonna be 61,900 over average of how much? Of 4 or 5,000 multiplied by 100. Then it's gonna give us 15.3%. Now we have to comment. Should Simona be satisfied with the rate of return? Remember last year the return was 25.5, which means that now they are going to in 15%. Last year they were in 25. No, they are not going to be happy about this decline. Imagine you were in 10,000 last year, now they want to pay you 3,000. Obviously it's not going to be good. Okay, it's not going to be good. Shareholders are not going to be happy, or the owner is not going to be happy. I hope you enjoy, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and join our extra class to support this channel. I'm gonna see you on the next video.